Hello and welcome to episode 14 of Katie's Christmas Movie Countdown. Today I watched the Netflix original movie Klaus. Now, it is an animated film that they just released this year. It came out on November 8th with a budget of $40 million. Now, Jason Schwartzman plays Jesper, the worst mailman at the Postal Academy, which is run very similarly to a military academy. His dad is the postmaster general and can't take his slacking off, so he assigns him to the worst post office in existence, in a small town in the Arctic Circle, where the locals barely talk. There's two families that live in this town, and it's very much a Hatfields and McCoy situation. We don't know why they hate each other, but they do, and they don't talk, and it's awful. Because of that, they've divided the town, and basically the town just nobody talks to anyone. Everyone pretty much keeps to themselves. The Postmaster General gives Jesper a limit. He needs to have 6,000 letters posted through his office to get the okay to come home and to be assigned to a different post office. He's about to give up when he befriends Klaus, a hermit who lives in his cabin that is weirdly filled with a bunch of handmade toys, and Alva, who is the school teacher of the town, who doesn't teach any students and has resorted to selling and cutting up fish to make a living. So Jesper gets a letter from a kid who desperately just wants one toy, something to make him happy, because the kid's living with one of the mean families, or one of the families that's in the dispute, and he just needs something to distract him from the awfulness that is his life. So Jesper talks to Klaus because of the toy shop and says, hey, you could give this kid a toy, and Klaus gives the kid a toy, but they make it a secret so the kid doesn't know that it's from Klaus. Soon, all the kids in the entire town want toys, and the rumor is that you have to write a letter to get a toy. So all the kids want to learn how to write, so they all go and beg the teacher, Alva, to teach them how to write their name and how to write letters, so that they can send a letter through the postman to get a toy from the mysterious toy giver. So this kind of gives Alva the boost that she needed to get back into teaching. And then she, Jesper, and Klaus all work at getting the kids educated and writing letters through the postman and giving the kids toys. Eventually, all these rumors start to spread among the kids about Klaus and why he's giving kids toys. The naughty and nice list becomes a thing. He sees you when you're sleeping becomes a thing. The flying reindeer become a thing. And all of a sudden, this big, giant, magical being is supposed to be the one that's giving them toys. Basically, this movie is an origin story for Santa that grew from a bunch of small-town rumors. The two feuding families in the town, they hate all the cheer that Klaus and Jesper and Alva have brought to the town, and they devise a plan to ruin all the toy giving and make the town awful again. Now, the rest of this film is really good. I'm not going to spoil it here. You need to watch it and enjoy how they brought about the creation of Santa Claus in this story. It's really, really cool. It's a wonderful story, and it's super creative and super original. Like, I've never seen anything like it. Now, director Sergio Pablos wanted to do a traditionally animated feature film, but he wanted to see how the animation would have evolved without the switch to computer-generated animation. So Netflix used CGI lighting techniques with hand-drawn animation to create a unique animation style for this story. It's the first traditionally hand-drawn animated movie to make use of volumetric lighting and texturing to give it a more 3D look. Now, this movie looks really, really cool stylistic. I was racking my brain trying to find another example of a movie that it looks similar to, and I just can't. It is a really unique style, and I definitely think that you should watch it so that you can experience it. After they crash the sleigh in the movie, you can briefly see A113 on a crate that falls off the back of the sleigh. This is a reference to the classroom that was used by graphic design and character animation students at the California Institute of the Arts, and is an Easter egg commonly featured in Pixar films. John Lasseter makes sure that it makes it in every single Pixar film. Jesper, the mailman, was originally conceived as a poor chimney sweep, similar to Bert from Mary Poppins. And J.K. Simmons, who voices Klaus, admitted that he once worked as a mall Santa as he was pursuing an acting career out of college. So this will be the second time that J.K. Simmons has gotten a chance to be Santa in his lifetime. Now, this movie, like I said, it did cost $40 million. The animation, once you see it, you'll understand why it cost that much money, because it does look really freaking cool. And it did have a really good cast. Like I said, Jason Schwartzman is the voice of the mailman, Jesper. J.K. Simmons is the voice of Klaus, who is basically Santa Claus. Rashida Jones plays Alva, the school teacher. Will Sasso plays Mr. Ellingbone. He's the head of one of the feuding families. Joan Cusack plays Mrs. Crumb. She's the head of the other feuding family. And Norm Macdonald plays a character named Mogans, who is the boat captain. Because they're way up in the Arctic Circle, the mail has to go from Jesper's post office onto a boat across to the next post office to make sure that it makes it somewhere else, because there's nothing around them. Now, my favorite character in this film is Alva, the school teacher. She starts off really gritty, and like the world has really gotten her down, and you can tell that she's just fed up with everything that this town has put her through, and she's been saving up for years and years and years to try and get out of the town. And then once the kids start needing her and she starts teaching all the children how to read and how to write and all these different things, her passion for education and for the care of her students really shows through, and it's really, really cool. My least favorite character is Mrs. Crumb. She's voiced by Joan Cusack, who I said just a minute ago, and she's definitely the worst of the two families and their feud. She's really the one that's pushing it against everything, and her goal is just to destroy this like gift-giving celebration that the town and the kids have grown to love, and she won't stop until everything's ruined, and she's just a Scrooge. She's pretty awful. My favorite scene is the building Christmas scene. Towards the end of the movie, they run out of toys from his original workshop, and they have to build a whole bunch more to continue on this, Santa Claus path, basically. And they go and make one last toy for this girl who they haven't been able to understand this entire film because she speaks a different language. And they go give it to her. She's like off on the outskirts of town in her own little like village. And when she gives it to, or when they give her the toy, she convinces all of her villagers to come and help them, and they all come to the workshop, or to his little craft shop, and help build a ton of toys to fill up the sleigh and get ready for Christmas, or what will be known as Christmas. As for feels, this movie definitely has the Christmas feels, the like cute, like it makes your heart melt feeling when he's talking, or when all the kids are getting their gifts, and just the joy on their faces and all of that. It definitely has that. And it also has some really sad feelings, because Klaus did lose his wife at some point prior to this film taking place, and there is a scene where he talks about the loss of his wife and all this stuff, and it's really sad. It's like similar to the first 10 minutes of Up, except you don't see her death, they just kind of talk about it, but it is really, really sad. As for memories, this was my very first watch, so I don't have any memories associated with it, but I'm definitely going to watch it again because it was really cute, and I really, really liked it. And like I said, the animation style is fucking great. Like, you need to watch this film. My 7-word synopsis for this film is how a postman helped create Santa Claus, because that's basically what this whole story is about. And it's really, really interesting, and I wouldn't be surprised if a whole bunch of books were written by this same director later down the line that tie into this story and all the different like mythos that eventually became Santa Claus. Now, I did watch this with kids, and I will say, because of the animation style and because of what Alva does, she cuts up fish basically, and that part is a little scary. The 3-year-old I watched it with was kind of freaked out by it, and he needed to cuddle like the whole movie. He wasn't super into the story as much until it got like towards the end, when it definitely became more evident that it was Santa Claus-y. But the first half of it is not very Christmassy. It's more exposition, and it's dark, like visually dark, and he was kind of freaked out. So I would be wary about this with really small kids. But the 5-year-old who was with me, like, didn't care. He loved the whole movie. So just that weird peak between toddler and kid, it's kind of touchy. If your toddler's into creepy shit, sure, why not? They'll be fine with this. But if your toddler isn't so much into that, then I wouldn't recommend watching this with them. I do recommend, however, that you sit down and watch this even though you're an adult. You should definitely watch this film. It was freaking great. It was super cute and a super original Christmas story, and you don't get a lot of those. Like most, as you can tell from this podcast, most of the Christmas stories that I've listened to have been very repetitive, like the same story is happening over and over and over again. Guy messes up, guy gets redeemed, Christmas is saved. This is not that story. Not really. Like, Jesper does kind of mess up for a minute, but it's more about the origin of Santa Claus, and I think it's really, really cool. So you should definitely check it out. So thank you for listening to episode 14. I hope you listen tomorrow. And don't forget, you can follow us on Twitter at AllentownPod. You can email us at allentownpresents@gmail.com. And you can listen to us anywhere where podcasts can be found, pretty much. And we hope to see you tomorrow. Thank you for listening. Bye.